This is WBSM On Demand.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the second hour of the Monday program on the day before Election Day. We will have the mayor in tomorrow at 10 a.m. The mayor had to adjust his schedule for he had a loss in his family. I don't want to make too much of it. So he's got to be out of town for the arrangements. And so obviously I'm willing to adjust anytime I can. Something like that happens to one of our families, right? So we'll have the mayor in tomorrow at 10 a.m. We are now joined in studio, though, by the donut man himself, Leo Choquette. He never shows up empty-handed. Mr. and Mrs. Choquette raised a good son. Leo, my friend, how are things up there in Ward 1?
Things are going well. Hey, was that Rick Astley I saw walk out of here?
That was Rick Astley. He's vying for an internship here.
No kidding. Yeah, I saw the red hair, and I could have sworn I heard a Rickaroo song.
Yeah, I Rickrolled. I even Rickrolled him. So we're gonna have a lot of fun with Rick Astley. Should we decide to accept him as an intern? So Leo, you had a big victory up there. Explain to people what happened, how you fixed it, all that.
All right.
You and the administration.
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of people would be shocked to find out that there are still neighborhoods in the city.
You were?
Yeah, I was shocked to find this out. There are some neighborhoods in the city, and it is pretty much in Ward 1 because most of the development going on in the city, new houses, is going to take place up in around Ward 1 or up the far north end. These folks have been paying, or they've been getting garbage service. That they've been paying for garbage service, but they haven't been getting it. And what ends up happening is and it's not the developer's fault more though than it is that there's just no real rule in place as to figure out at what point does the developer hand over the responsibility to the city for certain public services like plowing, garbage pickup, lighting in the street. And there's two developments in my ward that because there isn't a code set up where, once these properties are sold, where the people start getting the service, the developers' hands are kind of tied, right? So they're just doing what they are told, and they usually supply a dumpster in the development. Now, for garbage. Now that may sound, very nice for the developer to do that, and it is because, they're trying to help, but the problem is imagine taking your garbage out up the street.
What are these people paying annually, you figure, in taxes on average?
So some of these folks, because of the high valuation of the homes, some of them are $750,000 houses.
What streets are these?
$10,000 a year in taxes.
What streets are these?
Rosa Drive, which is right off of Acushnet Ave. It's the street right before the restaurant there, the Phoenix.
Okay.
On Acushnet Ave, right?
So way up. That's practically Freetown.
Exactly. It's right near Sassaquin, so It's way up there. There's two streets off of Rosa Drive up there. The other one is Seth Daniels Way. And then also down behind the Walgreens across from Trukey's, Farland Circle.
Okay.
That's another part that some of that development hasn't had trash pickup. So, folks have been paying, but they haven't been receiving trash pickup. So this has been an ongoing problem for several years. Mm-hmm. And as you can imagine, there are some pretty upset residents.
Oh, sure.
Now, this is one of the things I wanted to fix right away when I got in. So I figured, what's the easiest way to get things done? Obviously, you got to work with the corner office.
Of course.
Since I've been on the council, there are some other city councilors, I'm not going to name names, but they are ones that are constantly, fighting and arguing with the mayor's office. It's like this unnecessary tension that goes on.
Right.
And if we just work...
It hurts the constituents.
It hurts the constituents. And if we just work together with the corner office, a lot more things would get done. And this is proof positive. Okay, I met with the department heads. Jamie Pont runs DPI. Jen Carloni heads planning. And last but surely not least, Jen Vieira, who runs fleet management. Yep. And her efforts and the efforts of all of them to get this done, I applaud them. And also the solicitor, Eric Jakes, was involved. And so I was very proud to
You've been on work this for a couple months, though.
Oh, yeah, a couple months. And I'm very proud to have been able to be part of the rollout of the trash cans.
There you go. Listen, picking up trash is a major responsibility for municipalities.
Yeah.
It's no small thing. And so that is good news, Leo. It really is. We got someone here on hold. Let's take this call.
Sure.
Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Mark, and I'm a good friend of Leo Choquette. And I am one of the people that actually spoke to him about collecting the garbages over here on Farland Circle.
Hey, good morning,
It's great having a guy who can speak for us over here, because there's been an ongoing issue for years. I talked to other city councilors, but it got to no avail. But with Leo Choquette, we spoke, we talked. He's like, yes, if I can help you guys out, I will. Then it amazed me that one day last week I came home and garbage cans were actually outside our neighborhood. I was actually shocked and surprised. I was like, wow, it actually got done. Someone who actually spoke for us, worked with us, because these are hardworking Portuguese people over here, very proudful and everything. And having these dumpsters here is an eyesore, especially with problems with rodents, and especially not rodents, but people who dump trash. Can't tell you how many times that I've seen mattresses, couches, recliners, old desks that's been thrown across the neighborhood over here in front of the dumpsters. So that was the last straw for me, was like, hey, I can't take this anymore. I'm cleaning up the trash along with the neighbors and all that. We got nice houses on that. So when I spoke with Leo Choquette, he's like, yeah, I'll work with you. And come to my surprise, he's a good friend. He actually got it done. And I'm very thankful that he actually got it done for us.
Hey, Mark, I appreciate the call. I appreciate you listening to the program. And that's fantastic. It's nice when government works, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because like I was talking with Mr. Choquette, he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
I'm a Republican, and it's a great bipartisanship that work together over here.
Absolutely.
That where two people from two different parties actually work together for the greater common good, put everything aside, and you know what I mean? So he was a great guy helping me out. So I'm actually having him, if he can work on other issues over here for us, like having the lights turn on, and then hopefully get the road paved, because it's already going on for like 6 years, this project, and it's just waiting for things to happen. And it's a good thing we had a guy like City Councilor Leo Choquette that actually helped us, that actually got this. And he told me, Mark, it's one step at a time. This is the first step in the right direction. So I'm greatly appreciative that he actually helped us out.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Thanks for the call. Do appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. Feels good, right, Leo?
It feels great. And Mark, thank you for your kind words. And it really does feel good. This is the best I've ever felt as a city councilor, being able to provide service for many folks. And if it wasn't for Mr. Ventura, for Mark Collin, and he actually bumped into me. I was picking up one of my signs at the corner of Sunoco from when I had the mayor come.
Oh, yeah.
You remember to the Ward 1 neighborhood meeting. And he saw me and he said, hey, are you Leo Choquette? I was like, I hope so. Hope I didn't do anything wrong. But no, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for holding. You're live on the radio.
Hi, good morning. Yes, I'm one of the residents from Ward 1, more precisely, Seth Daniel Drive. And yes, I've been living here for 5 years now, and there's people that before me that have been living here for 7 years. Okay, this is about the development build of 19 houses built by Dan Maniz Construction. So we're paying very high taxes here. I'm paying $7,200 when I had a house in the Acushnet, paying much bigger, much more land, paying double-car garage instead of one single-car garage. And I was paying less there than I am paying here. But my main thing is for 5 years, we did not have pickup garbage, okay? And Leo was the only one. When he came campaigning late last year, we told him about the situation. I explained to him I was unhappy. All the people were paying high taxes. We don't get no service. We have no plowing. We have no sanding. The roads is still not fixed completely, and the garbage is ridiculous. We still have the same dumpster. It's still out there today. We still have the same dumpster that we had 5 years ago. But 5 years ago, when I moved here, was about 5 families living in these houses. Now there's 19 families. They're still the same dumpster, not to count the people that comes from the outside, dump their stuff in there, which I see them at night. But anyway, I just want to thank Leo. He was the only one that said, I'm going to do something about it. And he did. So I want to thank him. Linda Morat never cared for us. Brad Markey never cared for us. We had meetings, neighborhood meetings with Brad Markey. He never did it. He promised, yeah. He never did anything. Leo, he was the only one that said, I'm going to do something about it, and he did. Quite frankly, I told him in a funny way, Leo, you're the first Democrat that I ever voted that I don't regret voting for. So thank you, Leo.
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks. Don't be a stranger. Thanks for calling the program. I do appreciate you, sir, and you because it is mind-boggling that can go on for that long. That's a big win for you, Leo.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And you work close with the administration, and they deserve a lot of credit here and all that.
Absolutely. I feel like as long, and again, I can't speak for the other councilors or every councilor, but I feel like if we just worked better with the mayor's office and stopped with the posturing and the unnecessary calling people out, et cetera, we'd get more things done. And that's all people care about. They don't care about who likes who.
That guy's paying $7,500 a year not to listen to the city council, not get along with the mayor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
I mean, you just get things done. That's all that matters. You know? But again, thank you, sir. And, we're not going to stop on that. We're going to work on the lights. And, like I said again,
so those are the people with homes.
Farland, they're good developers, and they were only doing what they had as an option.
Those are the people who have homes.
Yes,
but you've also been dealing with people who don't have homes or don't have permanent housing. Leo, I'm going to tell you something. We're going to talk about it after the commercial, but you have done more, I think, you and some of the other counselors, in conjunction with Carlos Felix, who deserves a lot of credit here, New Bedford Live, for bringing this story to your attention. I believe that's how it worked.
Yep.
For doing more real-world stuff for the downtrodden and the homeless than a lot of lip-servicing committee meetings. Yep. 508-996-04. Sketty, how are you?
Hi. Thank you, Chris, for allowing me to have this phone call again. So, Leo, mayor or no mayor?
Well, I would say that you never say never, but again,
I hope you do.
First of all, I like to say, Sketty, you're so sweet and kind, and there are some days on the council when I feel like I get kind of kicked around by some of the other folks, and hearing you support me on the radio and your kind words, you have no idea how much that means to me. Really. But I will never say never.
Don't make me not like better here.
But no, I did hear your question as I was driving in. I'm not sure about those issues with the mayor, but like Chris said, you can call tomorrow, and I'm sure John Mitchell will gladly explain what's going on with that. I just don't want to speak on his behalf.
I think you're a rock star, and I hope you do consider running for mayor. I voted for Trump, Republican. No, I'm an independent voter, but I did for Trump because of the wars. Yes. But democratically, I would vote for you.
Oh, well, I appreciate it.
Sketty, I appreciate it.
I really would.
I appreciate
I want you to run. Be the mayor.
Be the mayor. I've got a couple of people on hold, but I'm going to take a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. I'm Chris McCarthy. We have Leo Choquette here in studio. We're going to talk about House of Hope when we come back, because this is a major issue broken by another media organization, which I want to make sure I give them credit. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Leo and the House of Hope up there in Ward 1. Stick around. I just want to rent it for an hour or two. Well, that's appropriate, right? It's not quite a chateau, but you do rent them, actually, by the hour. I think. No, maybe by the day, maybe by the month. I don't really know. But we're now joined by Carlos Felix from New Bedford Live. Good morning, Carlos. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning, Chris. How's it going this morning?
It's going well, my friend. Tell us about the House of Hope. How did you come across that story?
Well, there was a few situations. We were sent videos from people that were residing within the House of Hope, and Craig Stazensky is also a reporter from NB Live or NewBedfordLive.com. And he also, through his business, he speaks with many people in that population that are homeless are facing homelessness. And, we were asking the question, seeing all these people living out of tents on the side of the road, inside the, in the forest and whatever wooded areas they could find, why would someone, why would they want to live like this, right? So we started asking individuals, and we started getting responses about the conditions inside of the House of Hope. And we finally, I finally gave him a call, Craig and I at the same time, on a two-way, and we asked him permission. He was reluctant at first, but he did allow us. He granted full permission to go in and look at the facility, and the rest is history. And I'll tell you what, after entering and seeing the conditions, I was overwhelmed. I left a changed man, I'll be honest with you, and I almost couldn't conduct myself. I started gasping for air. It was a full panic attack. I had to leave.
You left me some messages. You left me some messages that I still, that are really mind-blowing, quite frankly. You've seen a lot of stuff, Carlos. What you described was crazy.
Growing up in New Bedford, I've seen a lot, but that was a first for me. And, there are a lot of times I would say, there's no need for people to be living like this. They can go to the shelter. Little did I know, I'll never say that statement again until I see the shelter for myself. But, I knew right there and then that I needed somebody with credibility to go see this. So my first instinct was to contact Leo Choquette, since it was his ward. And I'll tell you, he was right on it, right from the beginning. What can I do? How can I help? And I do believe because he showed up and seen the conditions that it gave it the credibility for the city to go in and actually, there's a 4-page report of infractions there with very serious infractions, not just small. There are some small infractions, but there are some very serious infractions there. And I truly believe if Leo wasn't present, it wouldn't have been taken as serious. And the neglect, because let's face it, Ian Ebro tried to do something about this a few years ago, and so there was already an attempt. But I think now that it's the second attempt, and now we have some media attention on it, I think we're always obviously going to get some action on it. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Leo, when you walked in there, tell us what you saw.
Sure. Good morning, Carlos. Thank you for coming on the show with me.
Leo.
So what I want to say is, I want to thank Carlos and Felix, and I want to thank Craig Tzensky for bringing this to my attention. And I would be remiss if I didn't say...
This is on Mount Pleasant Street,
on Mount Pleasant, directly across the street from the symposium.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say how moved Carlos was. I've never seen him that emotionally upset before. So... obviously I know that when he tells me something, it's genuine, but this was, a lot of bells went off in my head, and I was like, well, I better get over there right away, because nobody's going to speak for these people. It was pretty bad.
They let you enter.
They let me enter, and of course, I went in there with Craig Tzensky, and Craig already had a relationship with the person working the desk, and I, for legal purposes, I explained to the person at the desk, I just gave them my name, made sure they knew I was the Ward 1 city councilor.
Right.
I wasn't there to cause any problems or to take pictures. We didn't do any video or anything. I just wanted to go in there and just check up on people. That's all. Sure. And say hello. And the gentleman, I forget his name, who was working the desk, he was kind enough to, walk around with Mr. Tzensky and myself. And,
what did you see?
Several things that disturbed me initially. The back porch is ready to collapse. When I stepped on it, now, I'm not a small guy. I weigh about 225, right? When I felt like I was going to go through the porch. It almost felt like a trampoline.
Okay.
You step on that. And, there were at least one or two guys there bigger than me. So, it's
what
only
did
a matter
it
of
smell
time.
like?
Well, the smell was, especially in the men's area, was overpowering urine smell. The other things that really scared me, there was only one working shower for the men. And there are probably 30 to 40 men that are in that dormitory area. And they're living in this enclosed area with no windows, no ventilation. I asked them multiple times to open the 2 emergency exit doors, one on either side of the room. And eventually they did, and a nice breeze came through and kind of like flushed out the odor. But, you would think that if you're paying the owner money to live there, that the owner would spend $15 and buy some screen doors so that they could have screen doors on these doors when they were opened.
The report that Carlos referenced, you have it with you. We're not going to go through it entirely, but give us a couple of some of the things that the city did.
Sure.
So what did you do, Leo? You saw all this, and what was your next action?
So my next action, I called Inspectional Services.
Okay.
I called DPI and and Fleet Management. The folks that get things done in the city for us.
Yes.
And they went down there the following day. They also reached out to the police and fire, because when you have 40 some odd people jammed into one room, there's definitely a fire hazard, right?
Sure.
So some of the things that the city noted, that, ceiling tiles collapsing throughout need to be replaced. There were garbage bags full of garbage in different, places all around. Again, one working shower and 3 or 4 toilets. If you're spending money to live there, even if you're not spending money, it's
right.
just not acceptable.
This is right by the airport, right? Everybody who's coming in and out of the city, if they're going that way, they're going right past this place. It doesn't appear to be a shelter. It looked like a former commercial building.
Yeah, like a former computer place.
Something like that.
And it's not that it's like a loading dock inside per se, but you could tell that where the men are housed, it used to be a place where like freight was kept, because this large, open, 20-foot ceilings, which must be cold as heck in there in the winter, right? There were random cubicles, wooden cubicles all over the place that you'd see in a college dorm, with bed sheets tied from one cubicle to the other to kind of make makeshift walls.
Okay.
The question becomes: is it better to keep people out of the cold but keep them in a poor environment, or is it better to give them the ability to find their own shelter? Right. So I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that these people are being done somewhat of a disservice.
Are these Americans? Were they migrants?
No, they're legitimate. I didn't ask them for their identification, right?
But you can
tell these people are legitimate citizens.
Carlos, what have you learned?
Add something. Well, from what we're hearing, we asked several people. So to our surprise, we thought it was a transitional place. So when I hear transitional, I'm thinking 6 months. They get some sobriety under their belt. They learn some programs. They're able to progress into another place where they have more permanent living. But some of these people have been there 8, 10, 12 years living in this environment. No lighting. Stuff was. It basically reminded me of a kennel. The smell. It was like a kennel times 3,000. The smell.
You said to me, Carlos, it was like you just left a human kennel. That's exactly what you said to me. A human kennel.
Exactly how I felt. That's how I felt. There was a blind man there. There was a man that obviously needed medical attention. There was no medical staff on, and never is. I think someone might visit once in a while, like if they have a personal nurse or whatever. There was a man that was incontinent, so he was relieving himself constantly in his pants, and basically would be filthy for days on end. And as a matter of fact, after we left, they gave the guy a shower. We're hearing all kinds of things that we're working on. It's alleged things. That they all have to give a donation of $600, and we know they do pay rent, but now they're saying it's a donation. So, and also that they, allegedly all these individuals give them their food stamps as well. Now, we're looking, we made some FOIA requests. So before I really talk about that,
sure. No, I appreciate that
in the future. But these are things that we're hearing from these individuals, and a lot of them are afraid to go on the record, because they say if they speak up, they're thrown out, and then they have no choice but to live in the woods, because there's really no other place to go for them. So this is the predicament, So in one hand, we're trying to do the right thing, and you have some people saying, well, how about if they shut it down? They have nowhere to go.
Well,
do we want people to live like dogs in a kennel? You know what I mean?
No, I get it. I get it. That's why I'm had Leo and yourself on to talk about this, because again, it's your story. You broke the story in conjunction with work with the council.
What we really need is Bob Hughes to come before the city council, and he needs to answer the questions that the city council has for them, because I'm sure they're going to have some really good questions. How much money is being brought in, where the money is being spent. and all of that, because we can't continue to keep doing it like this, because if it's this bad now, and we've had some scrutiny on them a few years ago, can you imagine 5-10 years from now how out of control it's going to be? I mean, the situation down in the south end, same thing. And it ended up in a fire, and he moved up to the north end. So the track record is there. So I'm so happy, and I really appreciate that Leo did the right thing, showed up, and I mean, it's amazing. I really appreciate it, because without him, I don't think we'd be moving as fast in getting these people into a situation that's more healthy for them and their environment.
Thank you.
When you're trying to.
Thanks, Carlos Felix. Carlos Felix, NB Live. Carlos Felix. So Leo.
So let me add on to that first of all. So again, I'm standing on the shoulder of giants, right?
Okay.
So before this all happened, two people who I'd like to say who I consider friends of Ward 1 and fight more than the other councilors for the people of Ward 1, Councilor Ian Abreu, Councilor Brian Gomes. They both had my back on this initially, and they both signed on to the motion I made. And both of them have dealt with this issue several years back, and they invited the gentleman in, Mr. Hughes. I guess he came before the council. It's before my time. So, I don't want to take all the credit on this. Ian Abreu, Brian Gomes, they've been working this for a while.
What about our chairman of housing, Shane Burgo, leader of the Shane Denistas? How did he react to this?
Well, I texted him and asked for help, and he didn't get back to me until I got back from the House of Hope, and then he did call me, but I just don't understand why he didn't sign on to the motion.
Really,
this is his signature issue. And look, I'm not coming on here to bash Shane Burgo, but when there's a problem in my ward, I expect the at-large councilors to have my back. Ian did, Brian did, Naomi, Councilor Carney signed on. Ward Councilor Derek Baptiste signed on, but the other councilors didn't. And for whatever reason, I don't know, but this is a serious issue.
Major issue. Leo, it is a beautiful part of the city that you represent, and people sometimes can start a project like what I can imagine what it's like to run a homeless shelter, and they can get ahead of them, and so hopefully Bob Hughes and the rest of the crew over there can figure this out, because, as you said, where are they going to go? Where are these people going to go? So hopefully it's just a matter of the project got ahead of them.
Yeah, and I want to work with Mr. Hughes. This isn't like me trying to give the guy a hard time. He has a program. I've heard good things about the man with what he's trying to do, but for whatever reason, things have kind of gotten away over there, and we need to just rein some things back in. He serves a purpose for the city, and I thank him for what he does, but we gotta provide quality.
Leo Choquette, you represent Ward 1, which is basically Freetown with high taxes.
Sorry.
The Profile, you're working on that. The Profile Tavern in East Freetown, it's like being in the north end of New Bedford, but with low taxes, which is reflected in the prices. East Freetown, my hometown, serves up the coldest, frostiest beers around at the Profile Tavern, just the way a good American tavern should. Leo, I've seen you out there a couple of times.
I really enjoy the food at the Profile Tavern. I'm never disappointed. And the brisket, there was one time I went in there, I wanted ribs, and they didn't have any ribs, and they were like, "Oh, you got to try the brisket." And I said, "Okay." And the brisket was phenomenal. It was nearly as good as real Texas barbecue that I've had in Dallas, Texas.
It's because they can fire up the smokers nice and early, so it guarantees the best slow-cooked meats to go with an ice-cold beer out there. If you're not in the mood for barbecue, folks, they do a lot with pizza out there. I think I told you I was there with a bunch of guys, so they'll handle big parties as well. You'll have a lot of fun. But the pizza there is amazing. They've got a regular American menu as well. It's always being updated. They got the American burger. They've got chowder, salads, all kinds of things. But the pizza, I hear it from people in Freetown, at the Profile Tavern, it's to die for. So if you're looking for pizzas to eat in or to take home to the crew, stop by the Profile Tavern right off Route 140 in East Freetown. Used to be Nephews. For those of you who don't know the name, the Profile Tavern used to be Nephews. Leo, it's like within minutes from your house.
It is. I'm very fortunate that I'm located right there. And my parents and my in-laws, they live on High Hill Road in Dartmouth, so it's even closer if I'm at their homes.
It's great. It's great out there. So stop by the Profile Tavern in East Freetown. Tell them Chris McCarthy sent you. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Leo, tomorrow's election day. How do you feel about question 5, the tips question? What are you going to do? Vote yes or no?
So on question 5, part of my compensation as a financial planner is through commission, and I'll draw the loose analogy between that and working for tips, right? I have nothing but the utmost respect for anybody that has a job where they're working and it's tip based. But that would be no different than if I said, hey, I want commission and a salary. Right. I mean, that, having tips and a salary seems like a little bit over the top. I mean, the people who do well in those positions.
So you're voting no.
I'm voting yes.
Question 5.
No. Correct.
You supporting anybody in tomorrow's election, these state rep seats, holding signs for anybody?
Yeah, I'll be holding signs for Jesse St. Gilles. He's an independent. I'm a Democrat, as many of you know. But I feel that Jesse is the one from our area, New Bedford, Acushnet. He's got a business in Acushnet, New Bedford High School graduate. The other candidates, all from Westport, they're all nice people. But I feel that my concerns from my constituents and the residents in my area are going to best be served by St. Gilles.
Good morning. Thanks for holding. You're live on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to tell people that there's going to be a DEP listening session on Wednesday, November 13th at 6 o'clock at the Pulaski School about the proposed trash transfer station.
Okay.
I'd just like to get the word out that DEP hasn't made a decision yet, and we'd like people to come and listen to what's going on.
Tell us again where and when.
It's going to be Wednesday, November 13th at the Pulaski School at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Don't be a stranger. And call us back after that meeting if you're happy with it, or if you're not happy, actually, it's even better to call back. Tell us about it. Let me see here.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for reminding us about that. And I'm also going to be having a Ward 1 meeting this month.
Okay.
I still haven't focused on the topic yet, but it's going to be on the 19th. So
November 19th?
Yep, November 19th. So it'll be 2 weeks from tomorrow at Pulaski School, 6 p.m. That'll be our November meeting for the Ward 1 Neighborhood Association.
Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Leo.
Hey, Paul. How are you,
Paul,
sir?
what's happening?
Not much. I hope they have ballots for me tomorrow in 1-1.
Leo assures me that all the training was done. I asked him during the break. All the training's been done. Lessons have been learned, and I don't think you'll have any problem tomorrow. I hope you don't.
Yeah, I have full faith in the election commission.
If I have a problem, you know what's going to happen, Chris. You'll be the first one I call.
Yeah, make sure you call me second, because I'll be around tomorrow. So if there's an issue in the morning, let me know, and I'll come in.
Anybody who has a problem with the elections, I doubt you will, any town, any city, call WBSM 508-996-05 to get it on the record.
Yeah, they're going to see me walking tomorrow. Oh, no. That's the guy.
Oh, no. Well, listen, you did a great job last time in letting everyone know, because I wouldn't have been aware of it had you not reached out to WBSM.
Right.
Yeah.
Despite the fact they told you it wasn't true. It wasn't really happening.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other argument we can get into, right?
And then you call the city and they tell the radio station doesn't know what they're talking about. That bunch of, But, we got to give credit where credit's due to the radio station, what Chris does every day. He keeps everybody informed in Ward 1.
Yep.
How about those lights on Route 18 and Peckham Road there? They have the lights.
Yeah, they're not turned on yet, right? We got them sitting there, and they look nice and pretty, but we got to turn them on. I'm in the process of chatting with DPI about that. I also would like to know when they're going to get turned on, because that's a very dangerous intersection.
Thanks for the call, Paul. Always. Call me tomorrow, Paul. Leo, we're going to get you out of here.
Okay.
All right. Leo, I want to thank you for coming in. Thanks for all the hard work. I'll catch up with you after. You got to get off and make a living. So we're going to have Nurse Dan coming up next. Nurse Dan is a Republican candidate running for Congress right here in the greater New Bedford area and down the Cape and the islands. Stick around. We'll be right back. Making a second run against Bill Keating for this congressional district. People, if they don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're running, Dan.
Sure. First of all, thanks, Chris, very much. As the name implies, I work as a registered nurse. Been a practicing nurse now for going on 9 years. I work both in a community hospital as well as in one of the state prisons. probably like a lot of your audience out there, working double shifts, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. And really, Chris, the reason I'm running, it's about the ABCs. It's about affordability. It's about border security. It's about controlling the migration crisis. And it's also about common sense. And there's another big issue that particularly with the incumbent Bill Keaton. And Bill Keaton has never voted against funding or fighting any war. And I'm connecting with a lot of folks out there that are very concerned that we might be on the verge of another forever foreign war. And I'm the candidate of peace. I want peace. I want prosperity. I want no more wars.
Dan Sullivan.
Sullivan,
if you see it on the ballot.
Dan Sullivan, and just for your audience, it is the most common name in Massachusetts.
Really?
Not surprisingly, Dan Sullivan is. That's why I also go by Nurse Dan. In my hometown of Plymouth, there are 3 Dan Sullivans. We're all unrelated, so this differentiates me from the other folks.
So we know we are on the migration. Tell me, what do you think of the North Koreans now putting soldiers on the European continent for the Russians to go into Ukraine with? It's got to be scary to you, right?
Of course. I mean, look, we've been slow walking towards World War III. Even Mr. Keaton in a public debate admitted that we're moving towards World War III. He said a couple things that I think every parent and grandparent should be concerned with. And he said that it is our obligation to send our young men and women to fight and defend our allies. And more specifically, he said that Ukraine is fighting our war. And I thought it was a war between Ukraine and Russia. I know we're funding it, but I didn't realize it's our war. And he also said this, which I thought to be shocking. He called the war a bargain for the United States. And I find that to be appalling. We've lost, or there's been a whole generation of men, both in Ukraine and Russia, that have died. The countries are physically, psychologically, and financially exhausted. And we've pumped in over $250 billion. And I got to tell you, I'm pro-life in that, I'm just so anti-war. And so I'd like to see peace.
Do you think after the election, American soldiers could end up in the Ukraine? More American soldiers?
Well, it's very interesting because there is the real possibility that there's going to be some sort of change in Washington, D.C. after this election. And Mr. Keaton said that if we were to cut off funding, then we have no choice but to deploy troops into Europe. And I think that when you look at the dynamics now with the North Koreans allying with Russia, I don't see a scenario where anybody other than maybe the BlackRocks of the world win in that situation. So we need to sue for peace. We need peace in Ukraine, whatever shape that forms. It has to be a durable peace, just as we need peace in Gaza. However that form of peace takes shape, we need peace.
We have Nurse Dan. He's a candidate. Dan, where do you live?
I live in Plymouth. I'm a stone's throw from Plymouth Rock.
Stone's throw from... You don't do that, though.
No, although some guy once upon a time jumped in and dynamited Plymouth Rock.
That was in the 70s?
It was. You can still see where he blew off half the rock. Well, not a half, but a chip of the rock.
The radicals. Right. The radicals, Dan. You're not one of them. The Second Amendment, how do you feel?
Look, I support all the Bill of Rights, and they're in there for a reason. My position on the Second Amendment is that we should not be considering revoking the rights of law-abiding citizens. We know that the number one cause of death in the United States is suicide. That's not a 2A problem. That's a mental health problem. And number two, we know that the second cause of death by guns is gang violence. Again, that's not a 2A problem. That's a law and order problem. As I said, I work in both a community hospital and in a state prison, so I'm acutely aware of both of them, acutely encounter gang violence on a daily basis on my job, and I see mental illness everywhere. And one of my pet projects, if I were to be elected, would be to really fund mental health.
Dan, how do you feel about offshore wind? There's been a big problem this summer with the turbines breaking up and the electric bills. Talk about offshore wind, Dan.
Well, the incumbent Bill Keaton and our Governor Maura Healey originally pitched offshore wind as both low-cost energy and a job creator. Well, they've kind of moved off of that. Now, instead of being low cost, it's now cost effective. And we know cost effectiveness can mean anything you want it to mean. And now they talk less about job creation, more about job incubator. The bottom line is this, is that we can look to states south of us, the Carolinas and New Jersey, and they're seeing their electricity bills for consumers going up 2 to 3-fold. So if you got a $100 electricity bill, that could go up to anywhere from $200 to $300. If it's a $200 bill, anywhere from $400 to $600. That's a big jump, especially for folks that are living on fixed incomes or on a tight budget. That's really tough. One of the things that I commented is that it's the largest wind turbine project in the world, and you have to understand the scale. Those wind turbines will stand 450 feet above the water line. Put that in context. The city of Boston only has 25 buildings that are 450 feet or taller. We're going to build 130 451-foot structures. It's as if we're building a city skyline off our shores. On top of it, the wind turbines are going to have flashing beacons to alert planes, but also to alert vessels. So you're going to have these flashing lights on 450-foot tall structures flashing on and off every day of every moment of every day until the day they come down. So, look, I support renewable energy sources. I just don't think putting wind turbines off the shore of the Cape and the South Coast and Cape Cod is the best solution.
Nurse Dan, what else is motivating you to be in the race?
Well, I think our politics has become so divisive. Our politicians are so partisan. It seems like sound bites are more important than sound policy. And so for me, I look at this election as less about left versus right or Democrat versus Republican. I see it as more from right from wrong. In Massachusetts, we also have a unique dynamic. We are the most one-party ruled state in the country. And put it in perspective, 100% of our congressional delegation, 100% of our statewide offices are Democrat-controlled. 90% of our state legislature is Democrat-controlled. So there is no balance in our government, as well as I don't believe there's much common sense